So sine of the 2x over x. Now some people remember this equation, which is applied to something else because applied x approach 0. This sine of x over x, this is going to go to 1 because this is one of the trig limits I want you to memorize. But this has nothing to do with that because this one's x approaching infinity. Do you see there's two different things? One's x approaching infinity, one's x approach 0. Next thing is, hey, well, if that's the case, then can you tell me what happened? Can you tell me what happened here that approaching things? So the way kind of think about it is I would think about something called squeeze theorem. But I'm gonna also teach you an easy way. Squeeze theorem is a little bit hard to explain, but you know that numerator here is sine of 2x. The sine of 2x can be maximum value and minimum value what? Why? It's oscillated between -1 and 1, right? Do you remember that? Now, is it possible to make this function look like this one? Divided by x on all of them, right? And imagine that if you have limits x approach infinity of -1 over x, that's equal to what? And limits x approach infinity of 1 over x is equal to what? Therefore, limit x approach to sine of 2x over x is actually equal to 0 rather than 1. Because due to squeeze theorem. Now, you can also think about, without doing all the work, you can think about the highest value I can get of sine of 2x is 1. So would that be saying limit x approach infinity of 1 over x, that's also equal to 0. That's another way to think about it because sine of 2x can be maximum at 1. Even maximum at 2 doesn't influence anything. But sine is not going to be infinite. If today is tangent of 2x, then the story is going to be a little bit different. Because if the tangent of 2x is going to go to infinite. So it's not oscillating between two values. The tangent graph go like this. It go like a bunch of waterfalls. Right? Do you guys remember what's tangent graph?
Yeah.
Tangent graph is look like this. So they are go to infinite. Huh?
It's for long.
Oh. Just step here, give it to me. So thank you. Remind me to give to it. Questions? Yes.
So.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Her first, and then you. Girls first.
Oh, okay.
Be a gentleman.
So okay, but when you gave us like a little time to like think about it, I also got 0, and that was because I divided everything by x, and divide the denominator by x, you just get 0, and then it would just be sine 2x.
You divide up the denominator, it's gonna be 1. Not gonna
Right.
be 0.
Oh yeah, 1. Yeah, 1, and then the numerator would just be sine 2x over x. And I was just like thinking, like, if the denominator is infinity, it would just be 0 regardless. So could that also be a possible method to?
Yeah, I mean, and technically, sometimes people is very visual. They can make sense out of things. But the funny thing is, if you keep on doing that, you're gonna keep on getting cycles. You divide it by x, then you find out it's sine of 2x over x again because the bottom become 1.
Right.
So it still become the same exact thing. It's
Yeah.
kind of repetitive, right? So you know that this is just essentially R1 or less. It doesn't matter. Remember that number, long as it's a constant between what value, it doesn't matter. That's just a constant. Bottom's going to go infinite anyway. So technically, you're still looking at 1 over x.
Asking if like if it's different if it's sine 2x over 2x, it's still the same.
What do you think? It's going to be the same because it doesn't matter if this is 2. Does it matter? It's actually going to 0 way faster if it's 2. Thank you, Paul, for being gentlemen. Any other questions?
Will 39 be 1? Like, since I just solved it.
Oh yeah.
39 is a 1 and negative 1.
Can you explain that?
Sure. As the limits x approach to infinity of absolute value x over x plus 1. The way I kind of think about it is it's past infinity and negative infinity. X approaching negative infinity of absolute value x over x plus 1. Is that okay?
Yes.
So this one we know that it's going to be limits x approach infinity of x over x plus 1. So if I divide by x on top and bottom, that eventually is going to go 1. Is that okay? Now what happened with limit x approaching negative infinity? Well, I can rewrite that says limit x approaching infinity, but this side is going to be negative x rather than positive x.
Then it would just be negative.
Yeah, so this is negative 1 here. So it's going to get negative 1 and positive 1. So Ava, to answer your question,
Mm-hmm.
this is absolute value graph.
Yeah.
This side is x, this is negative x. If I'm going to the left side, I'm choose to be using negative x rather than positive x. $40 is the same way.
Yes.
You're gonna choose 3x plus 2 or negative of 3x plus 2. And then you reach infinity, so it's gonna be positive negative 3. Okay, so here's a question. Okay, so I want you to find all asymptotes. Find all asymptotes. Find all asymptotes. I don't know. Find all asymptotes. How many different kind of asymptote you know?
Are you asking? Oh, there's a vertical asymptote, slant asymptote, horizontal asymptote.
Yeah, there's 3. But I hear one of them doesn't count. Slant doesn't. It's not here. Actually, that get me interested about certain things. Can you have an asymptote look like e to the x? You can.
But the numerator would be a 0 technically. Because
I did the same thing as you said.
Because I'm gonna cover this is very important. It's on the test. It's on the test.
Wait. I got neither of them. So then you do L1 to cancel out the 8 to X.
Aria, you can come to more tutoring, right?
You see, you need one more and then you do this.
The test will be probably Wednesday.
That's a short day, Mr. A.
Yeah, because we with not many questions. It's gonna be like code sketch.
It's gonna be something you're gonna like big topic.
Yes.
The states.
Oh, your birthdays? Congrats.
You had to leave
Yeah.
early.
The send-off that starts at 10:40.
What class? This class.
Yeah, and then I leave right after. So I have to go to
No, this class start at what time?
I'll be here for like I'll leave this time to.
I mean, at worst you can watch video, but I think it should be fine. Tomorrow is pretty much
I'm
good.
gonna show you something.
Me?
Yeah.
Am I in trouble?
It's something that I found.
All right.
Mine felt
Yeah.
That's always like because I'm always in trouble. So like the other day, Krishan pissed me off.
soccer.
Krishan pisses everyone.
Krishan makes everyone mad.
What do you do?
Huh?
Too long. When you see from the
He was taking the last test, and you take an extra 20 minutes, and then he went to Waddell, and Waddell reported me on principal. Says I don't write him a pass.
I'm like,
Miss Waddell has a lot of issues. I do not like her. Miss Waddell's so funny. Like the other day, I asked her for help on a question, and she got it wrong. And then one time I asked her for help, she goes, "Just guess."
like I had like 2 minutes.
Oh my god, I was.
I know I can teach chemistry better than him.
Please teach chemistry. Please.
I didn't learn anything.
Miss Waddell, all she does is, all she says is, "Are you with me?" Like that's all she says every 4 seconds.
Okay, so I hear we're gonna talk about how many asymptotes did you guys find?
3.
All right, so no, I'm not gaslighting you,
You said slant doesn't count.
but there are 2 horizontal, and there's 1 vertical. You find 3? All right, so how do I find vertical? Vertical asymptote
Oh wait, no.
is set denominator equal to 0, right?
That's what
So denominator is 2 minus 4e to the x equal to 0. 2 equal to 4e to the x. 1/2 equal to e to the x. ln of 1/2 equal to x. Now also you have to understand that this can be natural log of 2 negative. They're the same answer, just so you know. The reason why you don't know is because natural log of 1 minus natural log of 2, you can use the property. That becomes natural log of 2 because natural log of 1 is 0. Or -1 power, 2 to the -1 power is also natural log of 1/2. So just so you know that this can be written in this way or this way. It's a very because in multiple choice they might show you an answer that's different way, so you have to learn how to adapt. Now the second one is the horizontal, so let's check it on horizontal. Horizontal asymptote is limits as x approach infinity. And when limit x approach infinity, of 7 e to the x plus 4 over 2 minus 4 e to the x. Now, if I approach infinity, I want to know what happened at infinity, right? So at this case, it'll be limits as x approach infinity of 7 e to the x. I'm going to divide by highest degree of denominator. So that's going to be 4 over e to the x. Obviously, you see, you don't even have to write it out to know what happened now. And this should be limits as x approach infinity of 7 plus 4 over e to the x over 2 over e to the x minus 4. Now, obviously, this is going to go to 0. This is going to go 0. So that's going to be 7 over negative 4. That is the first horizontal asymptote. Now, there's a second one, which is a lot of people cannot find. Now, you don't want to divide it by highest degree on this situation. The reason why you don't want to divide it by highest degree on this situation, you're going to get exact same answer, similar, you're not going to get anything resolved. So what you can do instead, just plug in infinity. You can plug in negative infinity. It was 7e to the negative infinity plus 4 over 2 minus 4e to the negative infinity. Now here's my question. How many of you guys know what e to the negative infinity is?
That's not easy.
Isn't it one?
Zero? Wait, negative. Wouldn't it just be like technically with respect to the negative exponent? Wouldn't it be a wouldn't it go to the denominator? So it'd be 1 over like 0. Oh yeah. That's just like.
You had the right logic, wrong answer. No.
What was your logic?
It was thinking like if you raise something to the negative exponent, right? That's like technically it goes to the denominator, so it's like 1 over e to the like infinity.
Okay.
E
So
to
wouldn't
the
that be infinity?
Why would you
anything in
negative
infinities.
1 over e to the negative?
Yeah.
1 over infinity?
You're almost there.
Really? No.
Let Gia go. Like, let's appreciate like Gia.
Wait, hold on. If it's 1 over infinity, like that's just yeah. Right?
It is 0. No, she's thinking. She's thinking. Which is we're gonna present her solution as well. But for my solution, it's a little bit different than hers, but it's fine. You have to know e to the x graph. What happened if it go to negative infinity? That's equal to 0 because it gets closer to a 0. It's a horizontal asymptote on the left side. Now, let's just say if you don't know how to analyze graphically, we can analyze what Gia did, which is e to the negative infinity. That means 1 over e to the infinity. 1 over e to the infinity will be 1 over infinity. 1 over infinity is what? 0. So therefore, all this term is going to go to 0. Limit x approaching negative infinity, 7 times 0 plus 4 over 2 minus 4 times 0. So the answer is 2 because they are 2 horizontal asymptotes.
Wait, it's 2 because there's 2 asymptotes.
Because 7 times 0 is 0. 4 is on the top. 2 minus 4 times 0. That's going to be 0. 0. So it'd be 4 over 2. 4 over 2 is equal to 2.
Can you bring it down to underneath the graph?
That's your logic.
Well, I just need to write down my logic because it makes sense right now, but not
But that's your logic.
yeah, but it's not gonna make sense.
You could have write it down with your own logic.
What would you call this type of math? Like, what's like the name for this?
for this particular part, it's still horizontal asymptote. But to thinking graphically, it's a little bit different. Because a lot of you guys don't know how to think graphically, but she obviously did it algebraically. She just needed, with your help, like you guys kind of be a good team.
And we're a good team.
Yeah.
Pass that test, we'll pass.
This is like India Pakistan alliance.
That was pretty good, actually.
That was actually like
That was smart.
that was smart.
See?
As long as we don't talk
Look
about
at you. Look at you, you're building another thing to add to
I don't really watch that a good like.
Okay. So let's talk about today's homework. But before I talk about today's homework, I want to talk about how do you find certain things. Like in order for you to find a certain things, so in the original function, original function, you're gonna find a lot of information. So first, I'm gonna start with the algebra 1 skill. So algebra 1, and I'm gonna serious. This is algebra 1 skill. X-intercept and the y-intercept, right? And let's go to algebra 2. Algebra 2 and pre-calc, we got a vertical asymptote. And you got horizontal asymptote. And you got a slant asymptote. And some people call it oblique. So oblique. I think this is how, I don't know how to spell it. Whatever. Oblique. Oh, QUE. Okay. So you got all this information in pre-calc. So this is in pre-calculus, right? This is pre-calculus. And you also have a symmetry. It's also in the pre-calculus. So we break down all this informations. And lastly, in pre-calculus, we also talk about domain. So that just based on this, you can graph this function. Now, instead that in calculus, we reinforce with other things. So for example, f prime of x. That's going to be, tell you critical number. It tells you increasing and decreasing, increasing versus decreasing after the number line test. And max and min. It's gonna be also first derivative test, right? F double prime of x is gonna be concavity versus concave down. And lastly, there's an inflection point.
What does it say next to increasing versus decreasing?
Number line tests. So. Okay, so now we already know how to do a red part. The problem is a lot of people forget how to find like symmetry, slant asymptote, or horizontal asymptote. This we're just gonna review right now. X-intercept and Y-intercept. I'm sorry, horizontal asymptote should be at a calculus. So this is the one that's calculus. Right. This is just a set y equal to 0, find the x value. This one set x equal to 0, find y value. And this is on SAT. So on SAT, very important if you want to find x-intercept is same thing as saying finding roots, finding zeros. They're all the same thing. That y equal to 0. Right? Set y equal to 0. Vertical asymptote is denominator. So this is red. Okay, so vertical asymptote is set denominator equal to 0. Set denominator equal to 0. And calculus is limits as x approach infinity of f of x, or limits x approach to positive negative infinity, sorry, negative infinity of f of x, so equal to something here, equal to L, sorry, equal to L. L is a number, as a constant. Slant asymptote is a long division. So if you long divide it and you got an x or 2x plus 3, that's your slant asymptote. Symmetry, f negative x is equal to f of x. That's called an even function. That means it's symmetry to y-axis. F of negative x is equal to negative f of x. That's going to be odd functions. That means symmetry to origin. Domain. Well, domain, you got two issues. You got first, set denominator.
Wait, did you say symmetry to origin?
Symmetry to origin. Equal to 0 if it's domain is gonna set denominator cannot equal to 0 actually. The reason why it's cannot equal to 0 in this case, let's just say if I have something like which is this is your homework, which is gonna be f of x is equal to 2 times x squared minus 9 over x squared minus 4. So in this case, I said denominator cannot equal to 0. Then your domain of this function is going to be from negative infinity to negative 2, because you cannot equal to negative 2. From negative 2 to positive 2. And from 2 to infinity, because x squared cannot equal to 4. So x squared cannot equal to plus minus 2. So x cannot equal to plus minus 2. So if it cannot equal to, then you write out domain this way, because it cannot equal to this individual value. You're going to go from negative infinity to negative 2, negative 2 to 2, and then 2 to infinity. Does that make sense? Because you cannot equal to those value. Second situation is a little bit different. Radical. If you're going to set inside a radical greater than 0. Why? So for example, that you might have a situation that's square root of 4 minus x squared, like this. And you're going to say 4 minus x squared is greater than equal to 0. You have to do a number line test, because 2 minus x and 2 plus x greater than 0. And then you're going to say, oh, okay, well, that's negative 2, this is 2, 2 minus x and 2 plus x. So with that situation, I'm going to plug in negative number. This is going to be positive. Negative number is going to be negative. If I plug in 0, it's going to be what? Positive. Positive. If you plug in, like say it's 5, negative, positive, so it'd be negative, positive, negative, right? So the region is going to be from negative 2 to 2. And that's going to be bracket. So for this particular case, it's going to be negative 2 to 2. But domain is set whatever inside a radical greater or equal to 0. These are two things that you learn in pre-calc. Now today's homework, you're going to start with this question. You're going to find all the information in this, and you're going to try to sketch it. Now remember, you had to find the first derivative. You had to find the second derivative. So you had to find this, and you had to find this, right? You had to find both things.
Wait, on the is it -2 to 2? Is that are those both brackets or?
Bracket, because you can equal to 2 and -2, it's still going to be defined. So inside a radical greater than 0.
That would be greater than 0.
What?
Why does that have to be greater than or equal to 0?
Imagine you have a number inside a radical is less than 0. What will happen? So it's not real. It's not real. It's not real thing that you can graph on a real number line. You can, however, imagine number can be computer model graphed now rather than before. They can form an imaginary axis with a gradient of different color represent different numbers. You can actually graph those, but it's not something by hand. It's gonna be something by like a math software that can demonstrate that. Yes.
If that root 4 minus x squared, like if that was on the denominator, would it be in open brackets?
Yes. Very good observation. He says if it's on a denominator, then it'll be open bracket because you cannot equal to 2 or -2 because you're gonna be 1/0. When 1/0 is gonna be undefined. So your homework is gonna be this question, but find every single thing that you can find about this one, and you're gonna sketch this graph.
Is that it? That's all. Only question.
I think one and one other one. I think this one and one other. I just want you to learn how to find all the information. Now the graphing part, we're gonna spend a day tomorrow to actually jot down things and graphing those things.
Or is it gonna say the information?
So we're gonna take 2 days or 3 days to graph some harder one. But other than that, then you know you have to take your first filter correctly though.
The piece just it's not as much as
It's like they like keep postponing it.
so that's what you probably mentioned. What is this?
Yeah, it's computer generated. It is multiple choice. Well, except the ones that are. Yeah, but those ones are either right or wrong because they have like set up ones. I think it's because they have to get the data from everybody and then they plan to like send it out. Yeah, I just want to know what I get. Is that somewhere? I don't think I did too good on reading. I think math I did okay on reading.
I'm always scared. Some of the questions were easy. So
My reading, the first one was like okay, and the second one was like really easy. The math it was okay and really bad.
Yeah.
Bro,
You go to like I don't know, tend to like type yeah, like type you have to get using all your
My mom found this yesterday when she was at Stockholm, and I think it's what you were talking about. I don't know if it's real or not, but
I'm not just taking this thing. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, damn it, Wesley.
The only way that you please know is real or not.
Holy shit. That's right.
Actually very
It's not
kind of like this is like kind of important to do. Is going to look at a blue book and see if those questions are good in blue book because this could be a blue book questions.
oh yeah, from the practice.
Yeah, from the practice. So the only thing that people can do is actually go find out if those questions are the blue book questions. But the problem is this is module 2, so you have to take it the first part. I don't know if this is easy version or hard version. So then you can have to find the things. I think that's so unfair. And people does that. It's kind of like it's big more for me.
how like people do these things.
Yeah, it's very despicable because I think that's just. I mean, here's what it is. Somebody find an exam question, AP exam last year, put on TikTok. It's really dumb. They should do a better job. I mean, I think by computer programming, I don't know if
That's
that's.
why I think they should bring it back to the paper test.
But what happens? People went to the paper company to find out those papers. Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. Thank you. Sharon.
If not, we'll miss the
This is what it is.
Well, maybe it's just because he knows I don't trust me. I don't know what happened. I was thinking him yesterday. He started pulling out the most black shit I've ever seen in my life. He went. What? Wait. I've never seen it. He hit the corner of the backboard and went. I started screaming.
He was frustrated about calculus tests.
Oh, he was so mad.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got someone. Somebody got him.
He went between my legs. I was looking like, you did not learn that. There's no way.
So he expressed all his anger on it.
Registered to the Democratic Party in Florida. What that mean? Mr. Ye registered to the Democratic Party in Florida. Okay.
Oh, I do want to speak about that. No. I have something. I have something to say. I have something to say. No, no. I have something to say.
Really excited.
I do have something to say about that. Actually, you'll be targeted. You'll be targeted. I'm just getting a warning of it.
Wait, what did I do?
No, it's not about what you voted. It's about
What if you wrong that with the
no. There's sometimes you unintentional, but it's. I know you're a nice person. So you,
is it about the jokes I make?
no, it just
Controversial things I say.
well, sometimes. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I never hear you say anything that's like really bad. But
Did somebody wrap me out?
somebody else say something right. It's not you.
Oh, okay. But you're just gonna use me for an example. So,
Winter party. Oh.
I don't know, but apparently
More than a conversation.
he's gonna be
No, just a conversation. Winter party. What are you talking about?
All right. Shh.
I was I said,
Yeah, I wanna address something because there is some situation happened in my second period, and I think that hopefully that it's not gonna happen to you guys. But somebody in second period, this individual is coming just crying inside the classroom, and I went up to them and I asked them so I asked her what's going on, and then we were wondering if we can report to the safe, but end up like she's like crying really bad, like she's saying like she says a lot of people after yesterday, a lot of people says a lot of negative things toward immigrants. But I don't think it's anybody in my classroom. I know which kid they are in my sixth period. But just be mindful of what you're saying around people. Even like you gotta be mindful if things that, because I personally think like this person is a really nice individual, and I happen to know another person exactly same as her position. She went to MIT right now, and she's gone through the same situation. So it gave me like a flashback of what happened of the thing. So I want to talk to this individual. So just pretend today you are immigrant. Today you are, even pretend that today you are illegal immigrant. Let's just say pretend that today you are illegal immigrant. Like you going through this motion of a lot of people attacking you throughout the daytime, and I don't think like you can blame on the immigrant on a lot of things, yes, but those individual people that's in my classroom, I don't feel like they deserve to be attacked. You can keep your belief, but don't hurt other people's feeling. And so those are things I gonna think about. I don't really care if you know which party you voted to, because obviously that one party is gonna be against immigrant, one party is gonna be pro-immigrant, and that doesn't matter. But when it comes down, the thing is, it doesn't matter they're illegal or legal, they're human being. And it really it really hurts me because I'm an immigrant, but luckily I'm a legal immigrant. Luckily, I'm not illegal, so I don't know what they go through. I can never imagine that I can step a foot in their shoes. I cannot imagine what they go through. I cannot. I just don't know. But obviously, school is pretty diverse of everybody, of every different type of person. I mean, like that's why I kind of mentioned Corbin, but Corbin never say those things. Just so you know, I maybe not in my classroom, maybe outside of my other classroom, maybe he does say those things.
I do see it. I do.
But just say for example, as today's Corbin, I think like you should step into other people's shoes. Think about, they are born as an illegal immigrant. They have no option. They have no choice to be that way. They have no choice to be that way. They have no. They just another human being. It's just another human being. So I hopefully all my students, I don't think you should, even though I might, some of you guys might not think I have a right criteria to say this, like attacking people. Oh, can somebody answer that, please? On that side, Rajesh, beautiful phone voice.
Oh, no, here we go. Hello? Vanessa? Yeah, we have Vanessa.
Rajesh. No, but that's a very quiet person. You just lost her. Not just for example, I'm gonna pick on Corbin today. If he did say those things, hopefully he doesn't say that anymore. I don't know, but it's very, it might not be, but I don't know. I'm speaking as an illegal, speak as my parents was illegal immigrant, actually. Oh, actually, my parents not even a legal immigrant. My parents are criminals. I'm not joking. My parents are criminal. He owns like millions and millions of dollars, and because his back friends stab him, because he's actually have a very established business, and then he like fly to United States, to run away from like people like collecting debts. And so yeah, um, um, I guess I'm part of those too. So I just think about those things. I think about certain things. But this student does make a this student did they cry like hysterically like in that room, and I was like, now that's kind of bad if those people say to her like this. There are people say to her different things, but not directly at her, but just say in front of a lot of people. But I don't know. I just like kind of things I think about. Hopefully, Corbin doesn't do that anymore. Um, but keep it. But that's the thing that if you think about, you should bear a right of bear guns, and that's fine. Um, but today is gonna be a human being that you hurt their feeling, and you might not know who they are because you might walk down the hallway, say the same things, and the person just walk past by you, and you might not have that intention to hurting that individual, but you do anyway. So yeah, so but again, like I'm not saying that I'm the perfect person to say that because I have say something offending people too, and yeah, so I'm not in the right person to say that, but I kind of don't want to see that if you say that in my classroom, rather than anything. Um, so we are immigrant now. As immigrant, that's coming down to a perspective. So this is what I told this individual. This individual is not only a good student, is one of the best students also. I told her says I told her one thing is that you cannot change the environment. Environment cannot be changed. The society is linked to a lot way. It's not only happened in the United States. It's happened in Hungary. It's happened in a lot of different Europe countries. It's happening everywhere. This happening at the same time. If you look in the history, the nationalism of individual country is very anti-immigrant. But I told her says there's one thing that you can do is actually ignore of what other people say about you and turn that energy to make sure you do something good out of it. Make sure that you change other people. You show other people that you're very capable. Now, what I think is like it hurt me the most is I told her says, hey, I don't know if you want to do this. I have a family went through a divorce. Um, I have somebody in different period going through divorce. I don't know if you want. This is before this conversation ever happened. I have a family went through a divorce, and this kid is struggling in calculus, and I was wondering if, and I know that you're very good at teaching. I was wondering you'll be able to help him for volunteer hours. And she's like, no, gladly I'll be able to do it. I'll be willing to do it. And this illegal immigrant is helping a white family that is struggling with divorced parents. And the by the way, that white kid is not like a racist type of person or not anything. But even if he is, she would have still helped him. That's how I know how wonderful this individual is. So so yeah, so that I'm just trying to prove to you that it doesn't matter they come from. They cannot have no control. They're illegal. They have no control over that. But there is a lot of people are illegal, are very, 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 very kind person. Very, very, very extremely good person. Matter of fact, most of people doesn't know. Like I used to be in produce business. I buy produce from a lot of farm. All those farmers that picking the vegetable are not white people. They not white. They not black either. They are illegal immigrant from Mexico, Guatemala, Costa Rica. They are a lot of those individual. They just earning $2 per hour, $3 per hour. that is that way. If you think about, in a way, it's they are trying to come here and they trying to work like a dog for every one of us. They trying to work like a dog for every one of us for provide a living from their house. Now, there's some people are there's some of those people are bad person, yes, but there are some people who are bad go shooting up a school are white, or bad people are black, or bad people are Hispanic, or bad people are Chinese, or bad people are any nation, any ethnicity. There's a bad people everywhere. They are, but it's not because they are illegal immigrant they are bad. It's like that. So those are things I don't know. I, I'm just gonna speak as a person that I the comparison of this individual willing to help another person that who is white, and you can even choose to accept who they are, and that's kind of sad for me. Does that make sense? I mean, that's a that's what it is. I think end of the day. So, yeah, I'm sorry to be kind of. I just can't stand she crying. I can't stand that she's going through so much stuff. That I. I mean, that's the one of the nicest person. She will sit here and she'll grade test for me. Like, she'll come in here and she'll grade test for me just because. That's how she is. I didn't offer any extra credit to her. She's like, I can help you. So, why somebody asked me a question?